Hey guys, welcome back to 2Awolf. So I didn't want to do a whole unboxing thing because it does get kind of boring. But what I did, so that the truck when it's fully loaded does squat, it looks like maybe 2 inches or whatever. Kind of him and haw to what to do. Talk to some of the guys, at Budget Overland and them guys. Yeah, so if you ever want to get a hold of me, you can send me an email at 2awolftruck@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook at 2Awolf. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can hit me up there. So talking to some of the guys, some people say, well, maybe you should just put, get springs, better springs put on, or add a leaf and stuff. So some of you guys that follow along know that I have an 8-foot height limit so I can get out the door, and that's just under 8 foot. So I have enough but I have to be able to adjust it because I did add that 15 gallons of water that's underneath the back of the truck, and that does make it squat. So I keep my truck inside the garage, so I'm limited to 8 feet. So I went ahead and ordered the Firestone Ride Right airbags, okay? And then since my truck has a 5.5-inch zone lift, and I think what it was 5.5 in the front and I think 3 in the back. That way it lifts the whole truck up. I had that put on some years ago because I'm rolling on 35-inch tires. So if you put airbags, then you need to make sure that you get the spacers that match the blocks that they put on the leaf springs. So I got the spacers. Okay, so I unboxed everything, got the spacers. The spacers basically just bolt to underneath the airbag, and what that does is that simulates where the axle is. So you have these plates that sit on top of the axle. This one would be the driver's side. This goes, leaf springs go right here, and then it bolts through. It's really not that hard to figure out. But what a lot of the complaints is taking off the bumper stops, because obviously they've never been off before. So in anticipation of snapping the bolts off, I did buy some of the PB rust-free, break-free bolt stuff. It's here somewhere. But I soaked it over a couple days. I sprayed it up in there, let it sit while I was waiting for the stuff to come in. And then when it was time, I used my heavy impact, came right off. So the reason why the bump stop's got to come off is because the top plate sits up where your bump stops are, and that's what's going to hold the airbag in place. So I got new bolts. I went ahead and got new bolts for that match where the bumper stops was. Okay, so when you get these spacers, the problem that came in, and it says in the directions that you may need to drill the holes out because the bolts that come with the spacers are like 7/16. Okay? Problem is that the plate is like 3/8. It's close, so, 16th off. Yeah. Well, here's the sucky thing. So simply drilling that bigger wouldn't necessarily be a problem. I don't know if the camera gets close enough. But anyways, it catches because it's a figure 8. Just so you can get fine-tune how the bags are, I guess. You can't do that. I did go to a local machine shop. He's got a drill press, but he doesn't have like is it fluted? I don't know. The mill bit where it's got like the 4 corners on it. So you could mill down there. One guy says, hey, just break out your Dremel tool. You're only 1/16 of a way. Get your Dremel tool out or your rat file and just make the hole a little bit bigger. Just big enough so you can get that bolt through there. We're up to speed. All right. So the whole idea is to kind of get the whole thing put together. Smash the bags down. Have enough room. I may jack up the truck a little bit to make sure I get enough room and then bolt it in. And then you can start working on your airline. So that's what we're gonna do. Alrighty, got, so this is basically what it's going to look like. Went ahead and put it together. So this is going to sit on top of the axle like we talked about. This is going to go, it's like up against the leaf springs or whatever. And then it's got some long U-bolts. So one set of U-bolts will go down around the axle with this plate here. And the other bolt goes around the shackle. I put the air valve on. Some people did complain about the fitting, the tape that they put on, or the pipe dope. I'm gonna go ahead and try it. Some people say that it leaks, but it's gonna look something like this. So I'll dry fit it because you have to make sure that these two are lined up with the way everything sits, because these two bolts here have to go where the bumper stops was. Then you can put your air lines in. I did purchase the T because I figured that the T to me makes more sense. I purchased the T so that way if something happens, I'd rather have both bags go down instead of one and it'd be cockeyed. So if I throw a rock and it breaks the air and the air leaks out, at least the truck will just squat down where it was. Not a huge deal. I'd rather have both bags go down instead of one, and then plus one. And I haven't figured out where I want to put the air chuck, but I did happen to see that I do have a hole right here, and that would be a pretty cool spot just to bump it up. Oh, you know what? Never thought about the old spare tire hole, but that'd be too hard to reach. That would be a lot easier. I can put it down there and just hit it a couple of times, jack it up 3 or 4 inches. To level out the truck when it's fully loaded. So yeah, I just need to dry fit it. These got to make sure I line up. I want to make sure that the cant is not the one way or the other, because there was 2 holes. I just went ahead and ground out is the back hole. Can't really tell. I think it was the back hole on both. I just ground out the back hole on both, back this way. So yeah, we'll just get that all dry fit and see where it sets, and if it works. Got to make sure. God, it just doesn't look like there's that much spring to it, but just kind of going by with what they said. So it seems like your stopper would be further than just, 8 inches away or whatever. So, but we'll check it out. I'm assuming these come up a lot more, but you never know. Okay, so I went ahead and oh, I put them down there already. So it does say that, you squeeze it, trap the air so it keeps them short, put the hose on there. Did that, got new bolts for this mount, but you have to make sure that it lines up this way with the plate going this way. So I did leave that one bolt a tad loose so I can turn it. And once I know where it is, I will tighten it once I get down there. There isn't a lot of room, so I use the jack to lift up the truck a little bit to make more room. Okay, so I did get them on. I noticed that if I had about 20 pounds, it raises it a couple inches, and that's fine for now because I still have that clearance. I have to make sure I make it out that garage door because that's right at about 1 inch under 8 foot, and the top of my awning spool thing is just about 2 inches, but tire drops off the apron before that gets to that. So I'll have to play with it. It says check for leaks, so I know I'm at 20 pounds. So this is what it looks like. And it does take a couple hours. I'll try to get my light in there so you can see it better. So has a U-bolt right here. It goes around the shackle. Not the shackle. It goes around right where the leaf spring hooks onto the axle. 2 drop downs. It is a pain in the butt because there's so many threads and it's lock nuts, so it does take a little bit. Yeah, it's actually fairly simple. It just takes a little bit. That hose, okay, the hose is a different deal. So I ran mine, I got the T, I put the T right there, and then I already had a hole there because a couple reasons. I figured that if I had a leak or something, I'd rather have both bags go down at the same time instead of like one versus the other. So that's my thought. As far as checking for leaks and stuff, I know I'm right at 20 pounds. So I'm gonna let it sit overnight, double check it again. Yeah, so it's a little higher in the back, but I don't have the 15 gallons of water. So it's gotta be pretty close. And then of course we'll take it for a drive before actually taking it out. So in the worst case, I know if the air leaks out, I know you're not, it says don't have less than 5 pounds in it. So, but yeah, it does. It doesn't take a lot of air and it lifts that truck right up. So I was thinking that I was going to add air and it was going to jump. It goes real slow. Alrighty, so I noticed about 20 pounds. It's probably about where I want to be, maybe a tad more. But it does have a slow leak. So soapy water, you got to find out where that leak is. So the only thing that I am really, really hoping that it's not the little brass elbow thing that's on top of the airbag that's leaking. If it's leaking there, maybe it will tighten it a tad, but if I may have to pull the airbags out all the way in order to tighten those up. Somebody did say something to the fact that they did have a leak before. What I should have done, and if you're doing this, pressurize it, check that elbow before you install it on the truck. So I got my soapy water as like a snoop, and we'll get down in there. Hopefully I don't get too dirty because I don't want to get my shirt too dirty. Oh, so speaking of shirts, I do want to thank Ernie from California. Thank you, Ernie, very much for supporting the channel, and welcome to 2Awolf. So there's a picture of Ernie. So anyway, so thank you very much. Anyways, so let's get underneath the truck and see if we can find a leak. Well, well, well. I don't know if you can see it. Found the leak. And I think it's because I got it turned. It's not kinked, but I got it turned pretty hard. So that's where it's leaking. So, which is a good thing. It's right on the other side of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, straighten it out. I was hoping that fitting can go there, but it may not. Okay, moment of truth. I don't see any air bubbles. Went ahead and put it under there. So put the little cap on it. I got about 19 pounds in it, so I'll look at that. Now the big test. Now that I have it 19 pounds worth, I got to make sure this fits out that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put you guys up there and let you watch. So this right here is what we got to watch. It's going to be close. Oh, that's going to be close. That is close. Do you have a little bit of rubber there? And I don't have a lot of the gear in the back, and I don't have the water. So I'm gonna bump it up to 20 pounds. Now I do have the cameras on the other side, but it looks like there's more room. So I'm gonna bump it up to 20 pounds and see what it looks like. Okay, so that's 22 pounds, and I know stay around 20 pounds. And let's see what the truck looks like. Oh yeah, so that does pick up the back. The back came up about 3 or 4 inches. So by the time I add some weight to it, then that'll squat down just a little bit. All right, so now we got to do a road test. Okay, seems like it's holding pressure. It lifted the truck. It seemed pretty smooth. I'll have to go back and look at the footage to see how the cameras. First time I hung a GoPro underneath the truck. I'll have to go back and look at that and see what that looks like. I just went over some bumps and stuff that I found. I kind of wiggled back and forth and it seemed like it was okay. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's done, but my shop is a mess, so I got to clean that up. Okay. That's it for 2Awolf on the 2Awolf truck. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. You can also find me on Facebook at 2Awolf. I also have a Gmail. Nobody's been actually sending me emails, but 2awolf@gmail.com. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave me a message. So the other thing, so speaking of shirts, if you're stayed to the end of this, then I'm going to figure out, I don't know how people do it, but for my 100th subscriber, I'll try to reach out to you and see about getting you a free shirt. So if you know anybody who wants a free shirt, tell them to subscribe. So we'll just keep moving on and go to the next place. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you next time on 2Awolf.